Hello, friends. The conflict in the Gulf region has rapidly expanded and is now affecting global politics and international shipping routes. What started as a confrontation between major powers is gradually impacting countries far beyond the Middle East. Strategic sea lanes and military movements are now under global observation. The consequences of this conflict could reach economies across Asia and beyond. Early on the morning of the 4th of March, an Iranian naval vessel was traveling through the Indian Ocean. The ship was sailing roughly 40 nautical miles from the Sri Lankan port city of Gal. It had recently participated in a multinational naval exercise hosted by India. After completing the event, the vessel was returning toward Iranian waters. Just 2 weeks earlier, this same warship had been welcomed by the Indian Navy during the Milan 2026 naval exercise. Naval officers from multiple countries gathered during this event to strengthen maritime cooperation. The Iranian crew participated in ceremonial parades and joint naval drills. The event symbolized cooperation among regional navies. During the exercise, the Indian Navy described the participation as a bridge of friendship among nations. Military diplomacy often uses such exercises to build trust between countries. Warships from different nations train together to improve coordination at sea. These engagements are usually seen as symbols of stability and cooperation. However, the situation changed dramatically when the ship began its return journey. The reports later suggested that a U.S. submarine targeted the vessel. Within moments, a torpedo strike severely damaged the warship. The loss of the vessel resulted in a significant human tragedy. Many sailors on board were unable to escape in time. The sinking of the ship raised immediate questions about regional security. Military incidents in international waters often carry diplomatic consequences. Countries in the region carefully watch such developments. This event also reflects how rapidly the Gulf conflict is expanding geographically. The confrontation between major powers has moved beyond traditional battle zones. Naval routes, oil transport corridors, and strategic waters are increasingly becoming part of the conflict. This creates uncertainty for many nations dependent on maritime trade. Across Iran, major cities have already experienced military pressure during the conflict. Reports indicate that numerous strategic targets have been struck. Infrastructure and military facilities have faced repeated attacks. The scale of the operations has affected multiple regions of the country. Missile launches have targeted several installations linked to opposing forces. Many of these attacks were intercepted by air defense systems. However, some strikes caused visible damage and disruption. Military tensions have been reported across several Middle Eastern countries. Strategic bases, embassies, and logistics centers have become areas of concern. Even small incidents can quickly escalate tensions. The region remains on high alert. In Israel, missile strikes have damaged infrastructure and buildings in several cities. Emergency services have been responding to injuries and structural damage. These developments highlight how both sides are sustaining losses. Civilian populations often face the greatest risks during such conflicts. Meanwhile, casualties have also been reported across several countries affected by the fighting. Military confrontations and aerial strikes have caused damage to infrastructure and lives. Each new development increases international concern. Governments are closely monitoring the situation. Initially, some analysts believed the conflict might end quickly. However, the continuation of military exchanges suggests otherwise. Instead of de-escalating, the confrontation appears to be widening. New actors and regional groups are becoming involved. One of the most critical developments involves the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is one of the most important oil shipping routes in the world. A large portion of global oil trade passes through this corridor. Iran has warned that the strait could become restricted if hostilities continue. This announcement has alarmed global shipping companies and energy markets. Tanker routes and insurance costs are already under pressure. Even temporary disruptions can trigger global price increases. For countries heavily dependent on imported oil, this situation is particularly concerning. Nations across Asia rely on stable energy supplies from the Middle East. Any instability in the region can affect fuel prices worldwide. Economic ripple effects could be widespread. Such exercises usually strengthen communication among navies. Yet geopolitical tensions can change circumstances rapidly. Images from the exercise showed sailors marching together in ceremonial parades. Officers from various countries exchanged greetings and training experiences. These moments represented international cooperation. The sudden loss of the vessel raised questions about maritime rules and international law. Diplomatic channels usually investigate such events carefully. Accountability and transparency become important topics. Several international observers have emphasized the need for restraint. Military escalation can quickly spiral into larger conflicts. Leaders around the world are urging dialogue and diplomatic solutions. Some countries have begun voicing concerns about the widening conflict. Political leaders in different regions are evaluating their diplomatic positions. Strategic alliances and economic interests influence these responses. Each government must balance its national interests carefully. Spain, for example, has publicly expressed concern about military escalation. Leaders there have emphasized the importance of international law. The country has also reviewed the use of its military facilities. At the same time, many governments are attempting to maintain neutrality. Balancing relationships with multiple partners can be challenging. Countries often seek to avoid direct involvement in conflicts. Diplomatic caution becomes essential in such circumstances. Beyond politics, economic consequences are already becoming visible. Global markets react quickly to geopolitical uncertainty. Oil prices, shipping costs, and financial markets often fluctuate during crises. These shifts can affect everyday consumers. Energy security has become one of the biggest concerns. Countries importing large amounts of oil must monitor supply routes closely. Strategic reserves and alternative suppliers become crucial during disruptions. Governments often activate emergency plans in such situations. Trade routes across the Indian Ocean and Gulf region are essential for global commerce. Any security threat affects shipping schedules and insurance costs. Maritime stability is vital for the global economy. The conflict has also renewed debates about international alliances. Nations constantly reassess their diplomatic strategies during global crises. Maintaining independence while protecting national interests is a delicate balance. Foreign policy decisions often face intense scrutiny. This approach allowed them to cooperate with multiple global partners. Neutral diplomacy sometimes helps reduce tensions. It also enables countries to act as mediators during crises. Economic pressures are already affecting ordinary citizens in many regions. Rising fuel prices can increase transportation and food costs. Inflation often follows energy disruptions. These effects are felt far beyond the battlefield. If additional regional groups join the conflict, the situation could become more complex. Military alliances may draw new participants into the confrontation. Such scenarios increase global uncertainty. History shows that prolonged conflicts often reshape global politics. Alliances shift and economic strategies evolve. Nations adapt to new geopolitical realities. The current situation may lead to similar changes. Many analysts are now studying how the conflict might evolve. Some believe diplomatic negotiations could eventually reduce tensions. Others warn that the confrontation may continue for months. Predicting outcomes remains difficult. What remains clear is that global stability depends on responsible decision-making. Military actions always carry human and economic consequences. Diplomatic dialogue remains the most reliable path toward peace. The world continues to watch developments closely. For ordinary people around the world, the impact is already visible. Energy prices, economic uncertainty, and geopolitical tensions affect daily life. Conflicts far away can still influence household budgets. This is the interconnected reality of modern global politics. As events continue to unfold, international cooperation will become increasingly important. Governments, organizations, and diplomats must work together to prevent escalation. The goal remains stability, security, and peace. The coming months will reveal how the global community responds.